kiddos, we're going to go ahead and get started. We're going to be working on some air prep because the air test is super close to us, and we want to make sure that you guys do the very best you can on that test. So you should have out your story that says Watching in the Wild. It's a story that you should have just already read with the video. And then you also need to have out a packet of questions that says Watching the Wild. Okay, so you need both of those out. I'm going to go ahead and put myself to the side and make this big. So you should have already read this story with the video, so you should be familiar with it. I'm going to go ahead and do questions 1 through 5 with you. I'm going to show you some strategies on how to find the right answer there and what you should do to get the right answers when you're taking the achievement test. All right, kiddos, so we are at number 1. Please follow along with me as I read this. What did Jane Goodall do every day before she climbed to the top of a high ledge? How do you think you'll attack this question? Well, the first thing is you have to be super familiar with the word before. What does the word before mean? The word before means we will look up in the story. The word before means to look up in the story. Well, what do we look up in? Well, it's always what comes after, before, or after. So I would underline, she climbed to the top of a high ledge. So we are going to find something that happens before she climbed to the top of a high ledge. But we must first find this in the story. Otherwise, we will not be able to do this question. So I'm going to look for the words high ledge in the story. So could you please get out your piece of paper, your story, pause the video, and I would like you to find the words high ledge in the story. So I'm going to look here. I am not going to reread this. I'm going to look where it says high ledge. So I am just looking. Where does it say high ledge? Oh, right here. With the jungle and climb to the top of a high rocky ledge. So if you haven't found that, you're going to underline that. Underline high rocky ledge. Now, we have to find something that happens before this, which means that our answer has to happen in front of this underlined thing. If it said after, we would look after that, but we are looking for something that happens before. So let's look at our choices. She slept in chimpanzee's nest. We need to find that first. She slept in chimpanzee's nest. I think I would look for the words chimpanzee's nests. So pause the video, go find chimpanzee's nests, and when you have found it, please press play. So where did you find that? Where did you find chimpanzee's nests? Did you guys find it? Let's see, Mrs. Harriger is still looking. Right here. When the chimps left their nests in the morning, Jane climbed up to try to find them for herself, try them out for herself. So did that happen before? Was this above this statement? No, it was after. So that is not the correct answer. That is after. I'm looking for something before. So that is incorrect. All right. The next choice says, she took notes on everything she saw. She took notes on everything she saw. What do you think there? What do you think you should do? I would look for the word notes. I would look for the word notes. Pause the video and find the word notes. So you should have paused the video and you should have found that Jane took notes. Right here. Jane took notes. Did that happen before this part, high rocky ledge? No, that happened after. So that is incorrect. We must take this question off because we are looking for what happened before. All right, our next choice. She used binoculars to look at chimpanzees. What word do you think we should be looking for? If you said the word binoculars, that is a good choice because binoculars aren't going to come up a lot in the story. So pause the video, find the word binoculars, and when you're ready, press play. Did you find the word binoculars? You should have. Right here, it says using binoculars. Now, did this happen before this? Now, some of you might be thinking yes, but look, this is after this sentence. So using binoculars is not before Rocky Ledge. So that is incorrect. I must cross this off. Look at the next question. It says, she put on clothes that blended with the jungle. So let's try to find blended. Blended. All right. Pause the video, find the word blended, and when you have found it, press play. Did you find the word blended? Well, you should have found the word right here. It says, she put on clothes that blended in. Right here. She put on clothes that blended in. Is that before this sentence? Yeah, it is before. So that is the correct answer because that is before a high rocky ledge. So please mark D on that question. All right, kiddos, let's go ahead and go to question 2. It says, what does the word tool mean as it is used in paragraph 10? So, we have to go back to paragraph 10. Okay, and we are going to find the word tool. So, please circle tool and please box paragraph 10. Let's go back to the story. Here is paragraph 10. Let's box paragraph 10 with your pencil. Now, it says here, David Graybeard was using the grass stem as a tool. We are to find out what does the word tool mean in this sentence. So let's look at our choices. It says an object used for cleaning an area. Well, let's read. David Graybeard was using the grass stem as an object for cleaning an area? Well, was he using the grass stem to clean the area? No, he wasn't using the grass stem to clean the area. So that's not right. Let's look at B. An object used for eating and drinking. David Graybeard was using the grass stem as a object for eating and drinking. Was he using the grass stem for eating and drinking? Well, it says here that he poked a long grass stem into a hole in the mound, and he was pulling out the crunchy termites. So, was he using it to eat? Yeah. Also, they were using leaves like sponges to drink. I think we should keep this one. Let's double check our other choices. An object that helps an animal do something. Well, let's look. David Graybeard was using a grass stem as an object to help an animal do something. Was the grass stem helping him do something? Yeah, I think so. And then look here. Once a big brother chimp grabbed a handful of leaves to wipe his little brother's messy nose. Was he doing it to help an animal do something? Yeah, I think so. So let's leave that one too. All right. An object that is used for making other objects. So David Graybeard was using the grass stem as a object that is used for making other objects. No, that doesn't make sense. He wasn't taking the straw to make other objects. So we have two answers. An object used for eating and drinking, and an object that helps an animal do something. What do you think is the better answer? What is this paragraph talking about as far as tools? Well, let's look. He used this tool to find termites. They use handfuls of leaves to wipe a messy nose. They use crumpled leaves as sponges. So how is that a tool? Well, it's not just eating and drinking. If you're wiping your brother's nose, that has nothing to do with eating or drinking. So we can take off choice B. Our correct answer is choice C. All right, kiddos, let's go ahead and go to number 3. Let's go ahead and start this. This one is a little tricky, so make sure you're paying attention. Select 2 sentences from the excerpt below that show how Goodall was accepted by the group. So let's talk about this. We need to know how Goodall was accepted by the group. What does the word accepted mean? Well, the word accepted can mean things like fit in or belong. So write your notes, please. Please write that the word accepted can mean fit in or belong. So how does Goodall fit in with the group? Or how does Goodall be accepted by the group? We must choose 2 sentences that shows that she fits in with the group. So let's read our sentences. If it doesn't show me how she fits in with the group, it is not correct. Also remember that you must select 2 sentences. Let's read our first sentence. She saw mothers curl up with their babies and then sit back up to make a pillow from a handful of leaves. Does that sentence tell me how she fits in with the group? No, it does not. It has nothing to do with her fitting in with the group. So let's read our next sentence. When the chimps left their nests in the morning, Jane climbed up to try them out for herself. Does that tell me how Jane fits in with the group? No, it doesn't tell me how she fits in with the group. All right, let's read the next one. Slowly, the chimpanzees became used to Jane. Does that tell me how she fits in with the group? Yes, I would say it does, because that shows that she is part of the group. If the chimpanzees are beginning to feel like she fits in or belonging, they're going to let her get closer. All right, next one. They let her come closer and closer. Does that show how she fits in with the group? Yes, it sure does. All right, next sentence. Jane began naming the chimps she recognized. Does that tell me how she fits in? No, that just tells me that she's naming the chimps. All right, next question. David Graybeard had a silvery beard in a calm manner. Does that sentence tell me how Goodall fits in with the group? No, that tells me that David Graybeard has a silver beard. Nothing to do with Jane. Remember, we needed to choose 2. Did we? Yes, we chose the first sentence and the sentence right beside. All right, kiddos, let's look at number 4. Number 4 says, what is the point of view of the passage? Let's please box the word point of view. And now let's talk about it. What is a point of view? A point of view is why was this passage written? When you see point of view, why did they write this passage? Well, what does the word passage mean? The word passage is a fancy word for the word story. So could you please box point of view and write the word why, and also box the word passage and write the word story. So I can read this. What is the why of the story? Why was the story written? All right, let's talk about choice A. Jane Goodall describes her work. Does Jane Goodall describe her work in this story? Is this story from Jane's point of view? No, and here is why. It says Jane Goodall, Jane, Jane. If Jane was telling the story, she would use words like I. It does not use words like I. So Jane is not the one telling the story. Therefore, this sentence cannot be right because Jane is not describing her work. All right, let's look here. Jane Goodall's friends describe her work. Are Jane's friends describing her work? What do you think? Well, I don't think anywhere in here it references that she are friends with the author of this story. It didn't say here, my good friend Jane, or something that references that Charnon Simon is the friend. So I don't think that's the right answer either, because we have no proof that they are friends. All right. The author describes Jane Goodall's work. Well, does the author tell us about her work? Does Charnon Simon tell us what Jane did? Well, I think that's a pretty good choice. So let's leave that one. And let's look at choice D. The author asked Jane Goodall questions about her work. So the author is Charnon Simon. Is she asking Jane questions and then Jane is answering them? No, nowhere in here is Jane answering someone's questions. So that is not the right answer. So our right answer is C. All right, let's go ahead and move on to question 5. It says, what would be an appropriate heading for paragraph 10? Well, let's box the word heading. Let's box paragraph 10. We haven't really talked much about headings. A heading is a title. It is a title of a section. So let's like a book title. If I was reading a book about Martin Luther King, well, the title would be Martin Luther King. Or if I was reading a book about marshmallows, maybe the title is Marshmallows. So a heading is a title. We need to go back to paragraph 10 and decide what kind of title would we give this story. So let's go back to paragraph 10. These are called paragraphs. We are going to find the number 10 and go back to it. Well, look, we've already went back to paragraph 10. Sometimes the air test does that to you. You have to go back to the same paragraph. Now, a rule in my class is that you must reread the paragraph every single time it tells you to do it. Go back to that paragraph. So we're going to go back and we're going to reread paragraph 10. Here we go. Jane was amazed. David Graybeard was using the grass stem as a tool. Until then, scientists thought that only people used tools. Jane saw the chimps using other tools too. Once a big brother chimp grabbed a handful of leaves to wipe his little brother's messy nose. Many times, chimps use crumpled leaves as sponges to soak up water to drink from hollow logs. So kiddos, in your own words, before we even look, what was this about? What would you say? Well, I would say it's all about the tools, right? They're using tools as a grass stem as a tool. And they're using handfuls of leaves as a tool. And they're using crumpled leaves as a sponge. Those are all tools. So what do you think is a good title? A good heading? Is the whole paragraph about crumpled leaves? No, that sounds ridiculous. Is the whole thing about using tools? Well, I think that's a good choice. Let's leave it and read the other choices. A chimpanzee's diet? Do you know what a diet is? A diet is what they eat. Write your notes. A diet is what they eat. Is that whole paragraph about what they eat? Did anything in this tell me what they eat? No, that's not a good choice either. Is this a good title, Jane and David? Was this whole paragraph about Jane and David? Well, it does talk about Jane, and it does talk about David. But is that whole paragraph about Jane and David? Well, no. It talks about them using tools, and the brother wiping the nose, and them using crumpled leaves as sponges. So I would not say that that is about Jane and David. Your correct answer is B. The whole thing was about using tools. All right, kiddos, Mrs. Clark will be with you for questions 6 through 10.